Well, hi there everybody. Welcome again to Consider This, our little space on YouTube to explore, look at, and ponder some of the ideas, experiences, and thoughts that we have to try to discover deeper, richer meaning, purpose in our lives in an attempt to be happier and more fulfilled. I'm Jenny Meyer. Thank you for joining me. I do really appreciate your time. My last video was pretty raw and pretty real, and I was glad to do it. I want to be real. I want to be authentic. I think a lot of what we're missing in the world right now is authenticity and being real. And that video really centered around the celebration of life service that I went to for my minister, which happened about several weeks ago. And this is a redo on a video that I had already recorded about a topic that my minister actually spoke about a lot, and her passing really resonated with me on the message of this teaching that she always talked about. And the teaching was that people collectively bond over our dysfunction. What does that mean? Her message in that was that when we're engaging with each other in conversation, we habitually, almost constantly talk about the things that are wrong, the things that aren't right, the things that we wish were different. And it could be big things or it can be little things. It could be small, like every day you come in from work and you talk about how hard the drive is to get to work, how much traffic it is. You could be the person, like I always did with her, and she was constantly on me about it, is reinforcing the idea that I'm tired. I'm so tired. I'm so tired. I'm so tired. And that's just something that you share with like everybody that you talk to. It could be big things. It could be the loss of a job. Maybe you're constantly talking about, oh my goodness, I never have enough money, or oh my goodness, this person was betrayed me or hurt me, or whatever the case might be. And in her instance, what she chose to not disclose to people was her illness. It's actually only since her celebration of life service that the congregation found out that she had cancer. And that's all we know about it, because she chose to not talk about her dysfunction. And obviously cancer is not a dysfunction. And her choice of that word was simply to recognize that we have a habit. Humanity, collectively, has a habit of constantly looking towards and connecting with and relating to each other over the things that aren't going right or the things that we want to be different. And it's so habitual and it's so intense that when we find somebody who doesn't do that, they actually feel a little weird. Like, why are you so happy all the time? Why do you never have a problem? And we kind of resent the people who don't come to us with their problems. Like, we get upset at the fact that everything seems to be going right for this person, and well, she just thinks she's above everything, and we talk about how they're fake or they're not real, and I'm just as guilty of this as everybody else, because we're so used to talking about the things that are wrong, the things that aren't comfortable, the things that we don't like. That really touched me very deeply when it came to her passing, because she didn't talk about it at all. Nobody even knew she was sick. And so the first video that I talked about really focused on that. Like, how much time are you spending talking about all of the things that are wrong in your life? How many people do you talk to in a day? And of all of those people that you talk to, what percentage of what you say to those people is positive? How much of what you say to those people is even neutral? How much? Like, really think about it. When you really think about it, when you really become mindful of the words that are coming out your mouth consistently, it becomes very apparent very fast that a huge portion of our time is spent talking about and creating connection with people over the things that are not right. Now, that makes it harder to get rid of the problems, because now we have a reason to continue to talk about it, because we have built relationship around the dialogue of that, which is where bonding over our collective dysfunction comes from. and challenging us. What she did was to challenge us to try to speak more about our blessings and less about our hardships. And what would your life look like if you took the time and energy, mental, emotional, spiritual energy, if you're into the spiritual energy thing, and instead of looking at and focusing on all of those things that you don't like or that you wish were different, you really did put all of that energy into everything that was good in your life, all of the blessings that you have, all of the things that are going right. And then genuinely ask people, instead of saying, how are you? What's going right for you? How are you doing? How can we change it so that we are bonding over the things that are positive and empowering instead of dysfunctional and not helpful? She spoke about that a lot. And most people, I don't know a single successful person on the planet who doesn't agree with that statement, at least in its sentimental value, in at least its structure. Everyone from Tony Robbins to Oprah to Eckhart Tolle to the Dalai Lama, Jesus Christ, everybody says what you put your attention and focus on becomes bigger for you. So if you want the good stuff, you need to put your attention on the good stuff. And if you want the bad stuff, then keep saying stuff about the bad stuff, because what you put your focus on is what you magnify in your brain. It's a psychological process. It's called the spotlight effect, I believe. This is a real deal. It's true. Studies are done on it. Tony Robbins talks about studies on it. It's a real psychological phenomenon. It touches our spirit, I think, and colors the filter that we see our life in, and it changes how we engage with people emotionally, and it makes it harder to find the things that are good. And when you can't find and focus on the things that are good, and you have gratitude and appreciation for the blessings in your life, it becomes so much more difficult to feel happiness and fulfillment. So the real challenge is figuring out how to do that more, right? That's the real challenge. Here's the thing. As I was at her celebration of life service, and right after her passing, I was angry. I was angry that we didn't know. I was angry that she didn't tell anybody. How could she not tell anyone that she was sick, that she was ill, that she was hurting? How could she not? And so it was my first response was anger. And as soon as I feel anger, I always know there's something going on underneath. So we dig underneath the surface and, okay, so what is this really about? And, it became obvious that what I was really feeling was almost a form of rejection. Did she not trust me to bring me into that experience with her? Did she not trust me to hold space for her while she was on her journey, her healing journey? Was I not significant enough to her to be a part of her experience? These thoughts were in my head, very disempowering, totally my ego. But that's how I was feeling. That is how I felt. And as I was sitting in this celebration of life service and thinking about her message over bonding our dysfunction, I thought, but wait, her experience of this illness was real. And I lost in the opportunity to walk with her in that journey because she didn't want to talk about it. Now, who knows why she didn't want to talk about it? I'm sure her list was huge and very long and incredibly complicated. People are never simple. But I'm sure some of the things on her list was not wanting to be a bother, wanting to focus on the positive, get as much enjoyment out of her life as she could until the end. I'm sure there was a huge number of reasons why she chose to not disclose this illness that she was dealing with the people in her circle. And I obviously was not in her immediate circle. I was several ripples away from that. Despite how impactful she was in my life, I was still several ripples out from her inner circle. And so as I was sitting there pondering this through the celebration of life service, I realized, well, there must be a balance someplace, because we can't deny fact, right? And even she talked about this. But if you have a car accident and you're in a car accident and your car is totaled, you can't deny the fact that your car was totaled and affirm that your car is fine. Like, that doesn't happen. Fact is fact. Like, the car is totaled. It is. You can interpret meaning and all kinds of things, and I would even say that the fact is actually just a teeny tiny part of your experience of what happened. Like, it's really not even the most significant thing. The interpretation of it is really the only thing that matters. But you can't change the fact that the car is totaled. She couldn't change the fact that she had cancer. And so, because you can't change those facts, there's a reality there that needs to be dealt with. It needs to be looked at, recognized, honored sometimes, in some cases perhaps, and then learned from, processed, so that you can redirect into something that's more empowering. And that reminded me of a video that I had watched with Brene Brown and Oprah Winfrey, and I'll put a link to that video down here. It's just a short clip where Brene Brown and Oprah's talking to her about one of the books that she had written, The Gift of Imperfection. I can't remember. Again, it'll be in the link. And Oprah's reading a section out of this book where she talks to Brene Brown about who to share your shame story with, who to be vulnerable with. And Brene Brown talks about the people in your life that you don't want to be vulnerable with. Like, ever. Don't be vulnerable with these people. She says in this video, and I love it, it's my favorite part in the whole video, she goes, you have to earn the right to hold space for me. It's an honor to hold space for me. And that gives a little bit of a clue in terms of who do you bond with over your dysfunction. Because hardship and struggle cement bonds. When you go through a trying experience with another individual, it cements a bond of intimacy. It's an unavoidable thing. But if you deluge all of that hardship with everybody you come into contact with, then you almost lessen the significance, the sacrifice, the sacredness of that intimacy with the people that you choose to share those struggles with. And I think that that's part of where we look at to find this balance of being real and authentic and honest, but not getting so entrenched and so entangled in the weeds that the only thing that we ever talk about with everybody that we come across is everything that we're battling with at the time. Look, because everybody's got hardship. Somewhere, someplace, everyone's got a scar that shows their crucifixion. Like, it's there, it's there, it's there. And I like the crucifixion story, so that's why I'm bringing it up, even though I know that that might not resonate with everybody. But it's the truth. You have a story. You have scars from a wound, from a trauma, mental, emotional, physical, psychological, whatever. And those scars are a tribute to your overcoming of them. And the people that you share those scars with are sacred people to you. So don't go flashing that stuff all over the place, man. Keep it sacred. And I think that that's part of what she was trying to do. At least that's what that's the meaning that I'm taking from her lessons in all of this. In my attempt to figure out this balance between sharing and being real and not focusing so much on the mire and the muck, and maintaining a sense of balance in what is empowering and helpful and what is the reality of a circumstance that you're dealing with. I think that that was a really powerful experience for me. I think that there's a lot for all of us to learn in that. I really would encourage everybody, because I know I started doing it when Bev first started, when she first said that, and I heard her say that, bonding over our collective dysfunction, that really resonated with me. And I took a real hard look at the words that were coming out of my mouth and how much complaining I did. And I'm still not great at stopping it, because you want to bond with people. You want to connect with people. It's like this hook. And so when you, like, at work, for me, is the worst. Because people start talking about, you know, the drive or the workload or whatever it is, and we get caught in sharing our struggles with them because they're sharing their struggles, and it creates a connection, and you want to maintain it. You don't want to be rude. You don't want to be, you know, disingenuous. You don't want to not be compassionate. And hey, it's not like I don't have things to share. I do have a list of things that, you know, I do wish that traffic was a little bit better on my way to work in the morning. And sometimes I do feel tired. But what are you affirming every day when you do that? And then how does that potentially diminish the people that you do have real intimacy with? Like, keep the real stuff for the people you have real intimacy with. And then everybody else on the planet, share your blessings with. Because that's really what the world needs, right? More blessings. Why? I mean, that's what we all are craving it. We want it so badly. And maybe if more of us start doing it, it will feel less authentic, and it will become more comfortable and normal. And then we'll start seeing more of those blessings in our lives. I feel like this was a little bit of a ramble, but those were the thoughts that I was having and what I was thinking about. And, you know, I really want to know what you think. I mean, am I completely off my rocker? Does it resonate with you? The whole point in doing this is to try to get people to define for themselves what things mean. And I just think that I was so touched by the fact that I wasn't involved in her journey in those moments. And what does it mean, how I felt with that? And what do I learn from it? And how can I honor that lesson going forward? Making myself more empowered, the people around me being more empowered because she was certainly very empowering. And always talking about everything that was good, even as she continued to get sicker and sicker. And there's a tremendous amount of strength of character in not feeling like people need to be involved in that, and yet also an opportunity for us to learn when it is appropriate to share those things with other people, because there's a time and place, I believe. And I think that that's an important thing to do. So just some thoughts on bonding over collective dysfunction. Would love to know what you guys think, what your thoughts are. Please like and share, comment. I'm very excited to hear what you all have to say, and thank you so much for your little bit of time tonight. Bye-bye.